People don't understand what Bronny James has really dealt with. Not to really give him extra credit, but just imagine entering the NBA. Every mistake you make is on ESPN. Every missed jumper, it goes viral. Every single turnover trends on social media. Every good game that you have get dismissed basically because your father is LeBron. That's not nothing that's easy to really deal with, no matter how privileged you think he was coming up. If I'm not mistaken, I really can't think of no other rookie in NBA history who has dealt with expectations like this. Not because people expected him to become LeBron 2.0, but because people wanted this kid to fail. And that's just the fact. There were fans out there rooting against Bronny James before he even touched the damn NBA floor. To me, that's crazy. But now that LeBron is gone, nobody can say that Bronny is only here because his father is wearing the purple and gold. The Lakers just guaranteed his money, whether you like it or not. I believe that that's organizational belief. I believe that that's earned trust to a fault, and I believe that that's a fresh start. What do I think about Rob Pelinka giving Bronny James a little guarantee contract? I criticize Rob Pelinka when he deserves it, but I'll also give him credit. Guaranteeing Bronny James' contract before LeBron made his free agency decision did send a loud message. This wasn't no charity case. This wasn't about emotion. This wasn't a farewell gift to LeBron. The Lakers looked at Bronny James and decided for themselves, we want to continue to develop this kid. And to me, that's important because if they didn't believe in Bronny James, they could have easily moved on. Instead, they invested in him, and I think that says a lot. I break down Bronny's career in these first couple seasons and just how he has elevated and evolved. I feel like Bronny has actually gotten better. I don't think that there's no one that can deny that Bronny has gotten better since coming into the league. I mean, if people are questioning if he is still an NBA player, I think really Bronny James, for what it's worth, even though he's still got a lot of work to do, he's answered those questions. Let's just talk basketball for a minute. The hell with the name. Forget about the whole James family shit. Let's just talk about the damn player. Bronny has improved, point blank, period, yo. His NBA shooting has improved a little bit. I believe he's shooting over 40% from the field, nearly 40% from the three-point line. His catch and shoot confidence looks completely different from last year. The hesitation is kind of gone. Bronny, he seems to be making quicker decisions when he get the opportunity. He letting that bitch fly. Then you look at South Bay, over 15 points a game when he was in the G League. He showed way better playmaking. He had lower turnovers. Throughout time, Bronny James showed more confidence attacking defenders, and I think that all comes with development. That's exactly what the G League was supposed to do. Not everybody enters the NBA ready. Some guys really need reps, and Bronny, I believe, has actually used those reps last year and the opportunities that he got in real games the right way. We talk about identity for the Lakers as a team, as a unit, as a franchise. How do we label this Lakers team individually? When we talk about Bronny James, do y'all think Bronny James know who he is? I feel like he knows exactly what he is. You know, Bronny isn't trying to become LeBron. He isn't forcing step back threes at all. He isn't trying to average 25 points a game. He is truly embracing his role. He's preparing and just trying to get better. Bronny, in my eyes, becoming a 3-and-D guard, those players stay in the league for a minute. He can defend. I've been telling y'all about that. Bronny also pressures ball handlers. He competes every single possession. He know how to rotate. He dives on loose balls. He doesn't quit. That's winning basketball, or at least a recipe that you want to have out of a player when you're trying to bring something together. Every championship needs these type of role players. Not everybody has to average 20 points a game. At the end of the day, sometimes I think your value comes from doing everything stars don't want to do. Bronny James, I believe, understands that early on in his career. And that's a fact, and I think that's going to be a big benefit to help him to transition past LeBron and even if the Lakers decide to part ways with him, he'll still have a meaningful, solid career in the National Basketball Association. But there always is two sides to a story. I will admit that. There's always going to be, two sides to a story. I think that at the end of the day, there's a reality check. We got to be honest. Some Laker fans are acting like Bronny is about to explode for 15 points a night. I'm not going to go that far. I don't know what his ceiling is offensively. I think we would need to pump the brakes on that. When you take a look at this roster with, guys like Luka and Colin Sexton, Quentin Grimes, Austin Reeves, just to name a few, and now they brought in Matisse Thybulle, where exactly are all these minutes coming from? Because there's only one basketball. That backcourt is a little bit crowded. Maybe not with talent, but definitely with just personnel, period. Maybe Bronny James is still going to have to earn every single thing he gets in Los Angeles. And I don't have a problem with that as long as he actually gets a fair opportunity. Nothing is being handed to him. Nothing should be handed to Bronny James. He is not some hell of a nigga or some hell of a player that we should be bending over backwards. I think nobody, even his father, is bigger than the program. And that's okay because competition, at the end of the day, at least in my eyes, that's the type of shit that creates better players. And some of y'all need to stop comparing him to LeBron James. Most people are not comparing Bronny and LeBron from an athletic position, but I think the biggest mistake that some fans are making is comparing the two. Every time Bronny James play, people want to compare him to his father in some way, shape, form, or fashion. You're basically comparing somebody to arguably the greatest basketball player of all time. Nobody is going to win that comparison. Not Cooper Flag, not Victor Wembanyama. I mean, nobody. For me, I think I will be judging Bronny James, and I'm going to continue to judge Bronny James against NBA role players, not his father. I think at the end of the day, if we want to be fair, if we want to be realistic, that's the proper evaluation. Can Bronny James become a reliable eighth man? Absolutely, I believe so. Can he become a defensive spark? He's already showing me signs, like I said from the jump. If Bronny James is going to have a career in the NBA, it's going to be based off of the defensive end of the basketball court. Can Bronny James become somebody coaches trust late in games? I mean, we've seen J.J. Redick try to put his trust in Bronny James. It didn't always pan out. But I do think that these are realistic questions that we have to ask. And I think those are fair expectations for Bronny because he is a professional basketball player. But I'm excited for the boy. I'm not going to front on y'all. I'm excited for Bronny James. I think this shit right here is definitely his opportunity. Sometimes the biggest opportunities come from somebody else's departure. Whether good, bad, or indifferent. And I think his father, LeBron, leaving changes everything. Now you got reporters, they not going to be asking what does LeBron think. Now the practices in Los Angeles, they not going to be centered around LeBron James. The locker room dynamics, that definitely changed. And now Bronny, in a way, he gets to create his own identity, whatever that may be. Maybe Bronny James will never develop to be into a star in the NBA. But like I said, bro, that's okay. Me personally, I've never put that expectation on him. Maybe he becomes a 10-year NBA role player. I think that's decent. That's more than decent. I believe that's a success. And when you look at the trials and tribulations that he's went through, as far as health concerns and just the little intangibles and the little nuances and everything, man, I would call that success if Bronny James was able to survive and have a career of 10 years in the NBA, even as a role player. I think that's a success story. I think this league, the NBA definitely needs dependable players. They need guys that they can rely on. They need guys that are not going to give them a black eye. Not everybody has to be Luka. You feel what I'm saying? Now, my biggest question and shit when we talking about Bronny James and these Lakers, here's what I'm watching this season, y'all. Can Bronny become someone JJ Redick truly trusts? In and out. We'll see that because LeBron is not around. So we'll see the true value of the trust that JJ has for Bronny when it counts. Because that's how NBA careers are built. Can coaches trust you defensively? Can they trust you not to make mistakes? Can these coaches trust Bronny James to his decision making? Can they trust his effort? Bronny already plays hard. Now it's just about consistency. If he constantly knocks down wide open threes, if his jump shot develops late into his career like his father did, he's going to play. He's going to get minutes. If he keeps defending, he is going to stay in the league for a minute. And I think the upside for Bronny James, just as far as being a better player, getting better, having his own identity, and possibly making some noise under his own merit, I still think it can work. I still think it can happen for him. I don't know if it will happen in Los Angeles or not. And just to be real, I don't really see a future with Bronny James in Los Angeles. I respect and appreciate that they still interested in developing him. But, even though Bronny is a man, there's still influence with Bronny James because of the clutch sports, LeBron, of course, being his father. And now that LeBron is out the door, LeBron has been in LA for 8 years. He knows what's up. He knows the ins and outs somewhat of this organization, even though they under new ownership. But, I don't know if the Lakers are better off keeping Bronny around, still trying to develop him, still having LeBron's mouth, so to speak, in the background. Not that it would make any difference because he's no longer with this organization, but, LeBron holds weight. LeBron James holds weight. Whatever he says definitely garners the attention of the NBA community. And maybe it's just best overall for the Lakers as an organization to just part ways totally with the James name and move on that way. But I do like what they're doing with Bronny, giving him an opportunity. I think is going to be key for him to show what he really has now that his father's not gone. I don't want to see him running to Philadelphia. I don't want to see the Lakers try to make a deal to get Bronny in Philly to play with LeBron. We've already read that book before. I don't really see where he fits. He needs to go somewhere where he's going to be able to get some minutes, continue to build his own identity, and we'll just have to see how his, play work out. I've been critical of Bronny James before, but I've always been on his side, mostly because I thought that the media was forcing this time a bullshit ass narrative. Every time, everything he did for the most part, and I'm talking about Bronny James, everything he did became either overrated or overhated. Now I feel like for the first time, when we talk about Bronny James, we can just simply watch him play basketball. It ain't no LeBron James storylines around him, for the most part. Like I said, Joe, that shit is not going nowhere. You got one of the greatest, if not the greatest player of all time as your father, and he's also actively still in the league. I think that's going to be key for his development, not having those LeBron storylines around him 24/7. No package deal conversations, no conspiracy theories, just strictly basketball we can lock in when we talk about Bronny James. I feel like the Lakers clearly believe that Bronny James has earned another opportunity. I feel like he's earned another opportunity to keep doing this thing, and not just because of his last name, but because of his work ethic, because of his willing to prepare, his willing to commit to be better, night in and night out. That's on Bronny. Can he take another leap? Absolutely. Can he fight through a loaded backcourt? He can definitely work on that game. Can Bronny become one of those winning role players every championship team needs eventually in his career? I mean, I don't know. We still got so much basketball to play. I believe Bronny James still got so much basketball to learn. But I do know this. This NBA season will finally tell us who Bronny James really is as an NBA player. And honestly, I'm excited to watch that journey. What do y'all think though, man, about Bronny James with LeBron being gone to Philadelphia? Do y'all think Bronny finally has a real chance to build his own NBA career? Or do y'all still believe he struggles to carve out, a role on this loaded Lakers roster? Like I said, I'm not sure about his career in totality with Los Angeles. I just like the fact that they're giving him another opportunity. For what reason? Like I said, I don't know. I don't know if they're using him for trade bait or if they really honestly are being transparent and want to develop Bronny James. And another thing I think we got to consider with this whole post LeBron era with the Lakers and Bronny James is just accountability. One thing I'm really interested in seeing this upcoming season is how Bronny James responds now that all the outside noise has changed. Because let's be real, every excuse is off the table now. Last year, people were saying he only got attention because of LeBron. Now that LeBron is gone, though, bro, people said that the Lakers only kept him because of his father. Well, the Lakers guaranteed his contract before LeBron made his decision to leave for Philly. That tells you that Rob Pelinka, in some aspect, and the front office saw enough improvement to invest in this kid as an individual. Now the question becomes how, what does Bronny do with this opportunity? This at the end of the day is where NBA careers are made or broken. Not by just getting drafted or, having a famous parents. It happens by taking advantage when your number gets called. My nigga Bronny James isn't walking into a rebuilding situation where he gonna play 30 fucking minutes every single night and shit like that. That's not no reality for the fucking Lakers. This team still has playoff expectations. I don't know how, I don't know from where, but they're still the Lakers, and JJ Redick is trying to win basketball games. That means if Bronny James wants some minutes, his ass is going to have to earn them bitches every single practice. He's going to have to outwork veterans. He's going to have to defend at a high level consistently. He's going to have to knock down open threes consistently. He's going to have to, make quick decisions with the basketball. That's simply life of a role player in the National Basketball Association. And to be 100% real with niggas, man, that's where I think Bronny James' mentality gives him an actual shot. I never questioned his work ethic at all. I never questioned, whether Bronny James is willing to compete. I'll never question whether he's willing to defend. Those qualities keep guys employed in this league. The talent definitely gets you drafted. The habits is what keeps you pretty much on the NBA roster. And another thing I think Laker fans have to understand is development isn't always linear. Some players, believe it or not, they break out immediately. Other players, they need 3 or 4 seasons under their belt before everything start to click, before shit start to really transition. When you look around the league, around the NBA, there are plenty of fucking players who look average early in their career before becoming valuable contributors later on down the line. Now, does that mean that, Bronny is guaranteed is going to follow that same path? No, that shit doesn't mean that. But it does mean fans need to have some type of realistic expectations on Bronny. I highly suggest to Laker fans, don't judge this kid by whether he scores 20 points. I don't believe that we've been doing that. I don't think we need to start doing that now. We need to judge Bronny James by whether he's becoming more efficient. We need to judge Bronny James by whether coaches trust him in meaningful minutes and trust him with meaningful moments. We need to judge Bronny James by whether teammates know where they can rely on him defensively. Those are the things, boys and girls, that determine, I believe, whether a player lasts in the NBA or not. If Bronny James continues to improve as a shooter while bringing energy to the defensive side of the basketball court. Yo, there's no question to me. I honestly believe he can carve out a long, solid, successful NBA career. I'm not talking all-star, superstar, none of those types of individual accolades. I'm just talking about having a presence in the league for a number of years. Will he ever be the face of the Lakers? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Will Bronny James ever carry a franchise? I'm not talking about the Lakers, but do you look at him and see like he could grow into one of those players? Probably not. I don't see that at all. But one thing I know, and one thing that you guys know, if you're going to keep the shit real, every championship team in the NBA needs players who embrace their role, play winning basketball, and never ever complain about touches or some damn minutes. That's the lane I believe Bronny James should stay in, yo. Not chasing no headlines, no shit like that. Not trying to live up to no hype of LeBron James. Just, trying to live up to LeBron James. Nothing like that. Just becoming the best version of Bronny James. If you can do that, Bronny, I feel like Laker fans are going to respect your journey a lot more than they've ever respected the narrative surrounding your arrival. Because this is the same fan base, whether we want to admit it or not, that don't believe in Bronny or didn't believe in Bronny. It's bad when you got your own home not really respecting what you can bring to the table, but this is not a silver spoon, cookie cutter type of team, organization, or game. This is basketball, and you got to earn your stripes. I think Bronny James is definitely projecting to success and having a career, but now that LeBron has gone his way, it's just going to be a little bit of a movie that we just going to have to get our popcorn ready and watch. I'm Seven Mitchell, y'all. This is Lakers land, man. Y'all let me know what y'all think ultimately about Bronny James and the Los Angeles Lakers. Are y'all surprised that the Lakers offered Bronny a guaranteed deal? Do y'all think that they are honestly and realistically interested in developing Bronny James, or are they using him for a possible trade piece before the season is out? What do y'all think is going to wind up happening with Bronny James specifically and these Lakers this upcoming season? Y'all let me know in the comment section. Again, I'm Seven Mitchell. This is the Lakers Land Podcast. Make sure y'all check me out. All other podcast episodes are available on all platforms, including Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google, and YouTube. So make sure y'all check me out and support the platform. Catch you guys tomorrow with another edition of the Lakers Land Pod. Seven Mitchell, I am out. Peace.